Hello to everybody. If you're here, it's because you love photography and photobooks, like me. I'm happy and proud about it, and I have to say thank you so much to you all. I'm Gabriele Chiapparini, welcome to Small Photobook Cult. If you like our videos, push the like button, and I really hope to see a lot of your comments for this episode. Please subscribe to the channel to stay updated on future videos. Today, we will take a look at Epitome. I don't want to say too much about it, but I can give you some keywords. Youth, war, masculinity, displacement, loss, scars, analog, conflict, belonging, Ukraine. It's probably one of my favorite books. And without adding anything else, welcome to the episode 16. We are here with the photographer, Vic Bakin. Hello, Vic. Nice to hear you.
Thank you, Gabriele. It's so nice to have a chance to speak to you.
Your book was hardly request for a lot of people like Radiohead, Allan Salas, and also some other people out of the records. So,
yeah, it's good to hear that. Really.
Do you want to introduce yourself before to start to introducing the work?
Yeah, of course. My name is Vic Bakin, and I'm a photographer from Ukraine, based in Kyiv. Just last year, I published my first serious photo book, Epitome, with Void Publishing, and here I am to answer some questions.
Okay. When do you start to taking pictures? Like you studying in a photographic school or something like that, or you just?
No. I never studied photography. I was studying computer sciences in my university. I just started, to photograph the close people close to me and close circle of friends, and then started to photograph some models. I started as a model test and portfolio photographer, and I realized that I'm not really happy with capturing, the clothes and the modeling skills, and I started to squeeze in, my film camera to try to capture something less, less superficial, probably more real. I think I always was interested in the human being, like in the somebody that sits underneath all this, fashion clothes and all these masks. So yeah, so that's how I started. That's my focus went from the modeling pictures to something more, I don't know, profound, probably.
So we can start to talk about the Epitome, the project. What is the project about? And I can also start to flip through the page if you want.
Epitome is a personal diary kind of a project that I created between 21 and 23. It's my attempt to reflect on the past and process the present events. If shortly, it's about youth, loss, and the war in Ukraine as a setting for this book. It consists of portraits of male youth that are set against the backdrop of the landscapes, of the devastated landscapes that the Russian war brought to our home. Like just for me, I call it a book of scars. So basically, it's the compilation of pictures that I made recently on these deoccupied territories in 22, 23, and combine both together with pictures from my archive of previous 10 years. That's it. I mean, someone recently said this book is beautiful but sad, but then they added it's sad but it's beautiful. I mean, I think it sums up a bit for me, like the content of this book, those two words, sad and beautiful. In those two, combination that is beautiful but sad and sad but beautiful.
Do you think there is a kind of melancholy in this book?
I mean, absolutely. I could see it. I could see it almost in any picture. You could see hope somewhere there, but it's mostly, I don't know, it's like melancholy, beauty, and devastation. I mean, isn't the life like this?
Is the project start before the war, right?
Yes. It started somewhere around 20 or 21, but the idea was a bit different or completely different.
Yeah. What was originally supposed to be?
So before the war, this project or this body of work that wasn't even project at that moment was centered on coming of age in youth, Ukrainian youth. And, this transformation from youth to adulthood. I didn't know exactly how, but I kind of wanted to put to the pictures all the nuances and hardships and contradictions of coming of age. And when the whole world starts to open before you, and you're just overwhelmed with the possibilities, but also get to know your limitations. And when you have all those feelings at once, it kind of reminds me of my own experience of this period, this brink of adulthood. For this body of work before the war, I was interested especially in transformation. How can I combine this fragile tenderness with this inevitable onset of masculinity that comes so fast? And being one of the representative of the queer community, I am interested in the male aspect, in the notions of masculinity in Ukrainian society. This is kind of what I wanted to do, and I was thinking like whom I can consistently follow for this project. And this idea was the hardest thing. So then I decided, like, I will do it fragmentary, like photographing different people from different backgrounds and try to combine it all together. But but then the war came and everything just got off of the rails.
How and in what did it transform with the beginning of the war?
There was this with the beginning of the war. There was this first few months, this period when I just had this real artistic apathy, or just real apathy. Like, why would one even create art or think about art in the time when it comes just to surviving? A few months into this very dull and depressive mood, I decided to somehow shake this feeling off of me, and the best way seemed to me to be to start doing something. So that's when I decided to go to the Kiev region, to the territories that were occupied by Russian troops in the spring of 2022. And so for the year and a half, I was visiting different villages, and I photographed landscapes, buildings, people, nature. I don't know, whatever I found interesting or touching. I went there with a very lightweight setup, keep it simple, with my one camera and a bunch of color film. In the meantime, I started to come back to the darkroom printing again. And the moment of transformation for this project was this when all these new devastated landscapes that I photographed there, they started little by little to infiltrate the previous body of work. In the process, it all like merged and fall into place for me together to this new body of work, which became Epitome.
A lot of pictures in the book are like resting on the pages of the book. Like you can see their irregular cuts almost in all the pictures. Why this choice?
I mean, all the artworks or all the pictures, darkroom pictures, they're small and they are just, cut from the paper to save the paper. So I was printed on the small pieces of paper, and I think still, like, they would just preserve this, irregularity, this organic feeling probably to those pictures, not to cut in through the image. So I just set it up for a day or two in my 4 square meter bathroom. From the very beginning, I worked with only the essentials, the enlarger and chemistry liquids. I didn't even had trace at first. I never used tongs. I just took the papers with my fingers. I mean, I'm into simplicity, the most essential, only the needed things. And so I started very, very low profile with printing. And even now, what's important for me is this intuition and the openness to surprises and accidents. And you get those surprises and accidents if you work, very lo-fi, the charm of the unexpected. To save money, I just cut the paper in whatever small sizes I needed, and I just print very small. The editor decided to keep those, this thing about my pictures.
Yeah, I think it works really well related to the pictures, like themselves. You see ones like in a lot of pictures, and at the same time, this cut, this adds something more.
Here.
Yeah, like everything, it's like you said before, it's beautiful but broken.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it works with this idea probably, but that was my initial approach. I mean, never planned to do this.
Yeah. Of course.
It's just, economy. I just used small bits of paper. It remind me the pictures I saw, family albums. If you're like, I'm from 80s, 90s, yeah, you remember those, like the hand printed things.
Yeah, and also I think it adds a lot. Like your practice, it's I think it was a really good idea to save this work in this way.
I mean, that picture that you have on the screen, I didn't want to keep the identity here. So this one was teared off after I printed it, There was a face and eyes and all the stuff. But the other pictures were just teared, already printed on the cut piece of paper. But if you get my idea.
No, yeah, of course. And it also works really well with the general idea of identity, but also with the idea of the future. So starting also from this picture, if you want, your photos have a rare delicacy. How do you work with your subject? How do you relate to them?
Nice question. How I relate to them. I would say to get a good picture, you have to get photographically intimate. That doesn't mean it comes with the intimacy, no, but you just have to get close to somebody and you just have to invest your time, and you have to approach somebody very openly, exposing whatever doubts and insecurities you have. And you always have it. You always have those. And just to be truthful and as simple as possible as you can. I mean, I always consider myself a portrait photographer. For me, it feels very natural to compose a frame, the person in it. It just in a matter of seconds, you find the angle and distance. And I don't really work the subjects. I mean, first we speak and then I mostly just shoot, but then you have to be present to watch how the person or the scene unfolds. And and then if you're lucky, you capture something that transcends. I know this. I know photographers love this word so much, but I mean, it helped to mark the special moment, the moment that will stay as one of your most memorable pictures, stay with you like to the end of time. For example, the picture, the same guy you have on the screen, but I think the way before, the cropped face. Yeah, go to the left or up. The cropped face. Yeah, this one. So for example, this picture, it's a picture of Sasha. He was born and raised in the Mariupol, Donetsk region. I made it in 2020, so way before the war. In 2023, I printed this picture after I found it in my archives when I was looking for something else. This piece of film just appeared before me and I saw this there. Since then, it has become one of the most recognizable pictures of the project. You never know those things before. And then it even became the cover design for the book. So, and again, it's unusual crop for the portrait. It was really my interest in his stare, just in the stare only, not the identity. I mean, it's just a second nature. You feel like if you have somebody in the viewfinder, I don't know for other people, for other photographers, how it feels like, but for me, it's like the second nature really to have somebody in the frame and to frame it, and you just snap. You don't really like build the frame, you know where the hand should be and where the face should be, which part of the frame it should feel. I look for a subtle gesture. I might look for a slight nuance, or like this stare, thoughtful stare. I don't know how to call it, but I feel like there's so much in it, in this stare. I use it, but it's mostly in the editing stage when I look at the pictures that I find those things. When I'm photographing, I'm not really aware of those too much. Of course, I think about how to make an interesting picture. I think I just navigate absolutely unprepared or subconscious and mostly full of doubts. Absolutely.
Do you use tripod?
I use tripod now for those sitting portraits, colorful 6x6, slow sitting portraits. Yes, I use it. But most of this work was shot handheld, just on the go. There's a lot of different formats here, actually. I mean, you could see 4x5 camera, the big one, the biggest one for me. It's on the tripod, yes. But you see now on the left, it's a half frame camera. So the difference of the formats used in this book, it's like from small to big and back.
You just said that you need some kind of like to develop some kind of intimacy with the subject, but how do you find and choose the people that you are portrayed?
I don't really find them. I think I mostly stumble on them. I look for unknown at the moment. I mean, you just feel that it might be a good soil, visual soil, So there's something in their eyes you want to capture. Sometimes you don't really know what's you're looking for. For example, this guy on the picture, I photographed him. It's like in 2019, I guess, as he's now serving in the Air Armed Forces. Probably it sounds pretentious, but somebody said this meaning comes from feeling, not the other way around. And this really stuck with me. Like, if you feel something, it works. I mean, for me, it works. I don't know. Did I answer your question?
Probably yes. Like there are not. I think it's something really beautiful to speak about this kind of project is that I don't know. I'm not expecting a specific kind of answer. Like it's the beautiful part is that it's more than an answer. It's an experience, and I'm here.
Absolutely.
Really interested and to listen what you can bring us as an experience as a photographer, because I think a lot of things that happen while you are taking pictures or also in the process of editing is something that you can try to explain, but it's not all the time so clear. And I think it's really beautiful. A lot of time it's about feelings.
Absolutely. I mean, like show more, tell less, kind of stuff. I try not to overthink ahead at all, like what the series, for example, would be. Like instead, I would look for the pictures I feel worth having, worth capturing. I mean, it's kind of like a collecting. You never know what you get next. And if I try to overthink it before, I just lose it. It's like music, the language of photography. Like it's like music, you can listen to the song in foreign language and still feel it. Do you need any additional information? Well, I'm not sure. You could feel it without even getting the lyrics. So for me, photography is pretty self-sustainable medium. It's a language which, at times might be tricky to describe with another language.
Yeah, I agree. Both music and photography are missing something. Like in music, you just have the sound and nothing else, and in photography, you have the vision.
Yeah, you're right. I make some notes. Let me check. When I saw a nice phrase by somebody, and like, for example, Philip Lorca di Corsia said this: I try to leave the meaning as open-ended as possible, both as an acknowledgement of my own inability to define what we see exactly, and the realization that reductive analysis is boring and overly determined. The pictures are non-events, both because I see that as interesting and because I want to remove photography's biggest attraction, the offering of secondhand experience. Like, I don't really want to, like, first feelings, like, I don't want to put too much information on you. You could have it on the news, you could have it in the reportage, more kind of photography, but that's different kind of photography. The world is too elusive, to pin it down. Image has to creates its own world, hopefully like self-contained, and it creates the analog of reality, but not a mirror of reality. So I think that there should be more questions than answers.
Vic, because it's my role to bother you with some questions. I have two questions.
Yes, please.
So one is, how many pictures do you need to take before to have a good one? Of course, the reply is going to be sometimes 1, sometimes 100, but mainly like it's something that is really easy to you to create an amazing picture, or is something that you have to work a bit on it?
Well, it works very differently in different situations. So with the people, I found that sometimes the first 1 or 2 images, when somebody's fresh and don't really know about you, and you haven't like speak too much, and you find something mysterious there. But then the middle part of the pictures are like so. And at the end you could have some, like, as my friends say, like some bangers, like the very nice pictures. So it really depends. But with the landscapes, I think I take like 1 or 2 pictures. That's all, like of the subject. You see here, it's an 11 spread of sunflower field.
It's really sad.
So it's it's kind of sad, but it's like a small story inside the story. And I just regard those figures as people, as they go somewhere minding their business. But then sometimes they look at you from above. So if you go 3 pictures back or and forth, you will see like there are some that, like those, there's like, hey, like what happened to you? Like they look at you, but then they go away, And at the end of the book, like a few pages at the end, near the end, you have this again, the field.
Like where? In the very end of the book?
Just absolutely, like a few frames before the end. This field, it's like, I love just the texture, how just this was looking. Then I was trying to print it, to dodge and burn, to make this everything else a bit more pale and white. And so you almost have this line of people like going out to the fog, or lining up to the, I don't know, to the future, whatever it may take, those kind of stuff, like allegory or something, as a, crowds of people. And the first day of the invasion, you could see in the news, this huge crowds of people on the train station that just were lining up for whatever train comes to just get out, just leave the place.
And coming back to the portraits,
Yeah.
how do you achieve those sculptural and powerful poses with your subject? It's something that is really distinctive in your pictures. And I also want to report to you something that Allan Salas said. So Allan Salas is a really picky photographer. It's so hard to find something that he likes. I have a lot of photo books, and when he came here in Bologna, showing him a lot of photo books, and really it's a bit exhausting. But he completely fell in love with your book, and he was really surprised by the quality of these poses that you have in your subject.
Yeah, first of all, big shout out to Allan Salas. I think he has a very nice project, very touchy and very moody, and well, I love it. So coming back to this sculptural thing, I don't think that's my direct intention to make something to look sculptural. I think we all carry inside us some kind of imprint on our retina or in the brain of how the beautiful things should look like. I think it's probably formed by the visual arts of the previous centuries. Just couldn't get this out of your head. Pictures, paintings, but I don't really think I work to make those. But actually, there's two guys in the pictures that were real drawing class models. This is one of them. There's a nearby fine art academy here on Golden Gates. I would look for some nuances again, maybe a pose from a Renaissance painting, but not a particular painting, So it mostly is subconscious. Probably the light, that's what matters and what makes them sculptural, as you say.
What is the role of the nudity? Because there is a lot of nudity in your work.
That's a nice question. Nudes is an abstraction, an idealization, and yes, sometimes my pictures look like that. Yeah, but in reality, in the process of picture making, it's a nakedness, and nakedness is an emotional and psychological state, and I think it's a pure state in which we all came here, and this state can be more truthful and simplified when you can really hide anything and you don't want to hide. So it's a total openness. Also, nakedness somehow looks more exciting and engaging in the picture. Actually, it can have any meaning you put in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fresh soil, for whatever you like to grow your imagination on.
Particularly because they are men, and we are not so used to see a naked body of a man. It's also, I think, a really beautiful, and it works super well with this idea of masculinity and fragility.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But that's what my focus was, all these years. Yeah, that feels absolutely natural to me. There was some girls in this project. It was some female presence there, but in the end, it just didn't get along, with the project, because initially, my idea was to have this, composite image of the young male, which may be anybody, from a soldier or a refugee to somebody young who might be called to defend the country, in the nearest future and face the war. But it's not limited to that. Absolutely.
I have two questions from Henry Ohed. So
Okay.
The first one is, what role does the repetition of images play in Epitome?
Well, if he refers to this 11 spreads of sunflower fields, so I told the story that it's a small story inside the story, also works as a divider, to break the certain narrative, if it's there at all. But with the repetition, I just found it's good for the rhythm.
I think it could be also this one, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's how brain works. You just your eyes just started to jumping from one page to another page. The thing is that I hand printed those, and they are unique pictures they made from the same film, from the same shot. But given my approach to darkroom printing, it just looked different. So no two pictures are alike. And I like this so much. Most of the sequence decisions for this book was made by Myrto, Boyd's editor. She just did an amazing job. It's very refreshing. There may be a certain narrative, but still it's very loose. And when I go through the book, even to this day, it just impresses me how spontaneous the sequence feels, and it's fresh all the time. It's not forced. I think if I would done this myself, I would just start to force, two pictures together. Like for example, there's at the beginning there's this the pile of the old chairs, and she put it together. Yeah, she put it like she made those two triangles.
Mm-hmm.
Like she put this one and this rib cage that formed the triangle. Yes, and I think I would go even further, to get those connections. I'm glad that the most of the input of the sequencing was from her, and it looks amazing for me. So yeah, so big shout out to Mirto and Joao, who made the design and all the ideas to make this book possible.
And then a question from Allan Salas.
Okay.
Alan asks, is there one photograph that means more to you? One that feels closest to your heart?
I mean, I was looking at those pictures on the wall when I was selecting them at the beginning of the project. I mean, months into the project. And I was so much there, just all over the place. And I felt I lost in them at some point. So partly that's why I'm happy about Mirto making the layout for the book. But obviously I made the selection of the pictures. And so, yeah, I think I probably would get all this body of work together, not selecting distinct pictures. Even this one, if you come back to those chairs, it was shot just weeks before the invasion. The rain was starting. That's why maybe it's seen, but maybe it's not. It's very like the wood is like pretty, shiny and wet. So yeah, I just found this scene, and I just put whole roll of films, like 12 frames, just to photograph this pile, because like what struck me is how it combines this fragility, this kind of beauty, but then the feeling that it will gonna just fall off. Like the way the structure just combine this chaos, and the fragile beauty. You have those here and there, those pictures, and the stories about them is absolutely different. This one on the right, this belly, that is a picture from the first batch that got those red stains on it. So that was surprising, So all the pictures from the batch had those blotches, or how do you call it, the stains, because it was poorly fixed. My fixer just diluted and become weak. Sometimes I just used my fingers to get the print from the developer. Just put it like very briefly under the water, and then I throw it in the fixer. I'm pretty impatient. Well, I'm patient and impatient too. So that's why the chemistry mix up with time and dilutes and become just weak. And so this was a surprise for me. Firstly, in my printing experience, I have those like the really distinct, brown or red spots. So yeah, I mean, like every picture is special. I just consider them all the whole body of work together.
What about the title, Epitome?
So epitome, which obviously means an embodiment, also in more archaic definition means a representation of something, like a small piece or excerpt of a bigger work. Months and months of working into the project, I collected a lot of prints, a lot of pictures, like piles of them. And then to make this selection work easier, I started to put them on a wall, creating this huge collage. Any picture I would take from this wall would have this distinct, similar visual qualities because they obviously were all printed in the darkroom with the same approach. And so I thought, like, of each picture as a representative element of the whole work, summary and or an abstract. So that's why I chose this title. So for me, it's a kind of a patchwork story or a puzzle. You can put the pieces of the puzzle in any combination, in any place. So I choose it as a project title. And while making the book with Void, the publisher, we were still thinking about the title, maybe using a different words but then I become the winner of the Lens Culture Awards. And then a selectee of the British Journal of Photography, and they both already like mentioned Epitome project. So then we just decided to go on with Epitome.
Vic, if it's okay for you, I start with the standard questions.
Yeah, let's go.
First of all, is there any specific music that you suggest to listen while watching this book?
Well, there is one famous, well-known silent piece. You probably know it. It's 4:33 by John Cage.
Okay.
So it's a complete silence with the ambient sound you're listening the composition in. So my idea is you don't really need doping. You always have familiar sort of sound around you, don't you? I mean, that's the best sound to watch book to. I hear now today. I hear my usual bird chirping in the distance, and especially the crows this season, and there are some water droplets hit the old metal windowsill from outside. So we don't have rain today. It's probably the neighbor's air conditioner. But what I like about it is like those droplet hits are absolutely irregular and random, which I like. So yeah, just silence. But okay, if you want me to like
no, it's perfect. It's perfect.
I could think of a German band, Wochen, and their Club of Gore. They have this album Piano Nights, which I like very much. It's kind of a ambient jazz, maybe a bit dark ambient jazz, very calm and very beautiful. I mean, there's so much good music that it's always a hard question. It's like answer who's your favorite photographer. That's the hardest question.
So, what is your favorite photographer?
There's a
no, let's say this question was not planned at all, just because you said that. But I'm curious to know if there are some photographers that inspiring you for this work or for your way to taking pictures.
Absolutely, there is one. There is Michael Ackerman. You probably know him for sure. I'm in love with his work, and especially with the way he's approaching people. Sometimes it's just surreal. There is something to learn from his work. So if you happen to interview him, and
you can also suggest his book, because another question is if there is a book that you want to suggest to have in the podcast in the future.
I think the work that he does, the recent work that he does now in New York, it's just amazing. I don't think it's already, it's not in the book, probably. I think it's work in progress. I might be mistaken. I don't know. But he has this End Time City, I guess, that was shot in Varanasi. But the other book, which I like more, is the Half Life, I guess. Another one I would love to hear about French photographer Olivier Kervern. I guess that's the pronunciation, Olivier Kervern. He also does the fashion photography sometimes. And it's so much different kind of fashion photography that just you look at his pictures and I think you will love it. So it's so quiet and subtle. I recently bought his 6x6 two contact prints 6x6 from his last book, End of Autumn. It's very beautiful, very nice. So regarding the quietness, I would suggest looking at the Austrian photographer Bernhard Fuchs. His portraits is, well, it's just amazing. It's very subtle, very quiet, and I love them so much. So yeah, I think those three photographers. But if you ask me about the Ukrainian ones, the young ones, I would love to hear Dmytro Prudkin, our local. He's working on a project now in 4x5, I guess. So yeah, very slow and thoughtful photography. I love it.
The very last question: do you learn something doing this project that can help young photographers to do a better job?
I mean, there's so much things that are interfering with the real you in your photography. It happened to me at some point. Like you just look around and you fall in love with a certain work and you really can try and do the same using the same technique, and you can succeed. But like in the end, what's yours, it is what matters. You know, what's closer to you. Like I tried a lot of different approaches. There are some that just feels right, that feels much closer to a real you. I now do those color portraits of people, soldiers, whatever, any kind of people. So they're colorful and like very well balanced, like sitting portraits. And they look just so much different than the Epitome work. And which bothers me a bit, but still I can find real myself in those portraits too, as I can find it in Epitome. So maybe it will work for me. But it's two different visuals, I would say. So the advice would be like, find yours, find what's the closest thing to you. I think there's two things I recently realized about myself, that I'm happy when I'm photographing. Doesn't really matter, like, am I shooting a commissioned portrait of some minister, or it's a close friend, or it's somebody I just met. Like for me, the whole process is a joy. It's a flow that you just happen to navigate, just flow. The other thing I realized that going through the archives, like the previous 10-year archive of mine, looking at my earlier work, I can see all the qualities are already there. Like, I mean, even 10 years ago, you will find the same qualities, but the only difference is the skill with which I can now articulate the things that sits within me, or the thing that I want to say. Just find a way to articulate this.
Okay, Vic, we reached the end of this episode.
Oh, really? it just passed very, when you talk and when you just think.
If you have,
Nice.
if you have, or if you want, say more.
Yeah, I just thought about, this section. Maybe there might be some question about this, explosion section inside the book, almost like a culmination.
Yeah, it's here.
Yeah, so it starts here from this one. So yeah, that's the I call it interlude here. I felt like for the overall rhythm, I need something different from the main visual of the project. Those pale, milky, bleak pictures, and I just just a fresh ingredient. And so that's why I pitched to the editor this back of my experiments with the cyanotypes. So basically, those are the inverted cameraless cyanotypes, those spots and blotches on the paper. And if you invert it back, it will be just classical blue on white cyanotypes. So it's not it's not some kind of trick, not some kind of AI or Photoshop effect or whatever. It's just a photographic inversion. So it felt totally justified and natural for the photography, when you invert something, like when you print
Yeah, of course.
from film. And just at some point, I was doing those works, and I just scanned them and I inverted them. And I just saw those fires and those explosions, those fire in the night skies that we all see and hear like almost every night to this day.
Yeah.
And then you have, together with this, you have this like implosion, like something that, the energy of which is directed inwards, inside, as opposed to explosion. So the implosion is one picture of a couple embracing each other. Could you go back like a few times? Yeah. So is it the same picture? Go back a bit. Yeah, go back a few times, like when there's like face. Yeah. So that's the picture of a couple embracing each other. Those are my friends from the east of Ukraine that had to move to Kiev due to a war in 22, I guess, or 23. And that's the only picture with more than one person here. Yeah. So yeah, that's the story about the implosion part of the book.
Yeah, it's probably one of my favorite. I didn't ask to you because I don't want to overwhelm you with too many questions. And but yeah,
but
I
I
love
felt
it.
like you just have to, maybe you have to justify, what's that, like what's those effects,
Yeah,
so that's why it was worth sharing,
yeah. I think it's like, I don't know. Also, a lot of time without an explanation, you can anyway feel it. But it's always beautiful to hear what was the process, what was the idea behind it. I appreciate. I like it a lot. Thanks.
Thank you.
So
okay, I think that's about it.
yeah, thank you so much. And I really hope to, I don't know, that we can, I don't know, we will meet one day somewhere.
For sure.
Maybe there, maybe in Kiev, could be super beautiful.
I hope so. Yeah, in the nearest future.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Gabriela.
No, it was really, thanks to you. Thanks a lot, Vic. And yeah, goodbye, everybody, from me and Vic.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Take care.